for live, and then we will
Yes.
discuss.
Yes. Yes.
We
Yeah.
are live now?
One moment. Yeah.
Yes.
One moment. Almost there. There we go. There we go. And just in time.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Sunday. Sunday is live for reading story, moving ahead in the story. And today's story is, as Syl has been sharing many times, he says that and really emphasized that this chapter is, this part of the story is going to be very, very special. And this is, so we are going to totally focus on just the story today. Before that, while Syl is doing something, I want to share uh, another happiness, another experience of awareness of the power of clarity of intent. I'm just
And sharing.
compounding this word.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. The power of intent and sharing. Yes.
Yes, yes. Sometimes, and not sometimes, it was, I must say that, okay, it was not been happening exactly, at least, um, other than my close circle before, where I see that someone who never directly interact with each other, but when someone is doing or initiating a gesture, and that gesture being perceived exactly without communicating any words, being perceived exactly as if it has been initiated. And today I was sharing with Syl just before the live that his gesture, one of his gesture, I must say, has been perceived exactly as he intended.
Oh.
And though it was a, yes, it was a good gesture, but as compared to others, other things in life he has been doing and other people's also do, it's not very big, but the intent was profound and so pure and clear that it manifested or materialized in a way that it changes someone's personality right there. I know someone who is very dignified, never take anything from anyone, and never ask. Or asking is a different thing. She actually never take anything from anyone. Always try
Yeah.
to do, give,
Yeah.
give, give,
But she's
give.
always helping others. Yeah.
Yes, it was always, she was always at the giving end. Very rare in her life she was, and she was never being comfortable. But being at the receiving end without having any ego involved in that, without having any doubts that, oh, why it's been giving it to me, it's a help, it's a nothing. She received it exactly as it was intended.
Yeah.
And it was magical. That person was speechless for 2-3 minutes, and then I
Oh,
got a
so
hug.
brilliant.
I got
So
a hug.
brilliant. So brilliant.
And
So brilliant.
yes, and after that she did something
Wow.
for herself, which was
Oh,
beyond,
even better.
which
Yeah.
was beyond need, which was beyond
Yes.
need. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
need that. She was not in need. But when we do
Yeah.
something more, other people receive more.
Yeah.
And that was the magic
Yeah.
I experienced. It's
Yeah.
a bit abstract because I don't want to to go into personal details about anyone, but
Yeah.
I have experienced that, and that was really it was a solidifying factor in my
Yeah.
trust in general and trust in good intent.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling so positive about
A
things
shift,
and
a
things in
shift, a
general in the universe.
change. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also I learned something indirectly by implication, persistence.
Yeah.
When you have this clarity that whatever you are doing or trying to do is
Yeah.
with good intent, no matter how
Yes.
much time it is taking, at some
Yes.
point it is going to be materialized. And I saw that, I have experienced that in Syl's life. It's been
Mm,
materialized
mm,
exactly like
mm. Mm.
someone who is a completely different person, and then
Yeah.
suddenly they change, and without even having a single doubt they receive it like wow. And I was
Ah.
amazed with it. I was amazed by that.
Ah. Hey, this is
Clarity of
too,
intent,
it's too
pureness
beautiful.
of
Too
gestures,
beautiful. Yes.
everything was received
Yes.
positively
Yes.
and
And
changing
this
life.
person, I don't know this person.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know of
Yes.
them, but I don't know them.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the magic.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Now, Beena, I wish to add one key point to
Yes.
this.
Yes, please.
Clarity of intent. You mentioned that when we do things with clarity of intent, it makes a massive difference. However, we need to be cautious when our clarity of intent comes from us and us alone.
Hmm.
Yes, because us as not knowing everything, knowing very little, we could of course be mistaken. Yeah.
Yes.
How do we guard against this inadvertent mistake, right? Inadvertent inappropriateness, in other words. We
Yes.
do so living via attunement. Attunement is how we resolve this problem of knowing our intent is appropriate. Yes, it's important to have clarity of intent, but that clarity comes also via attunement, not just us being clear about what we want, right?
Hmm.
But when we say, I want what the universe wants, all right, now we can be sure that our clarity of intent is appropriate. Yes. A very simple thing, but an absolutely incredibly profound difference to
Yes.
ensure that that clarity of intent is appropriate. Then I can intend for all I'm worth. I can put my entire being into that intent. Why? Because I know it is appropriate, because it's coming via attunement. Yes?
Yes. Yes,
Ah,
absolutely. This is a magic. And I can say that I have
yes.
experienced magic uh by you also.
Oh,
Also, it was not
yes.
because it was also a trust involved, a mutual trust. When
Right.
I was sharing something with you, I was not very clear, but I
Yeah.
shared something that this is what I want to do. You, you
Yeah.
trusted, you showed that trust, you actually apply that trust in my intent that okay,
Yeah.
yes, you are going to do
Yes.
something, and which is I trust that
Yes.
it is going to be a good. That
Yeah.
trust actually amplified, and then of course it trickles down to the other person. They also trusted in my good intent and your good intent, and then
Yes.
no
Yes.
questions. There were no question at all.
We have a trust train. We have a trust train.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
This
It's
is so
too
amazing.
too
Anyway,
brilliant.
this is
Too brilliant.
first
Too
thing,
brilliant.
and now
Yeah.
before,
Yeah. 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 And I do want to emphasize. I
yes.
do want to emphasize that
Mhm.
in these lives, why
Yes.
do we do them? Why do we do them? Right?
Yes.
We do them because of attunement, because of the magic of attunement, because of sharing via attunement. This is it. Yes, we can put reasons to that, but the root reason is because it's the right thing to do, whether I can see why or not. My brain is quite brilliant at finding reasons. We can find reasons, justifications, substantiations for anything. Our brains are absolutely ridiculously genius at doing this, right? But it doesn't need to be. Look who's here, Norma and Cheryl. Cheryl
Oh,
and Norma, I'm thrilled that you guys are both here. Today is an
hello,
important
Cheryl.
story.
Hello, Norma. Hello, Norma.
Today,
And hello, Cheryl. Okay, yes.
this is great. This is great. What a nice bonus. What a nice bonus. What a nice bonus. Because it's a big deal, the story today. It's a very special story.
Exactly. This is what I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
trying to jump into that. Not to
yeah.
interrupt you, but I'm just
No
making
problem.
point,
Yeah, yeah,
making
yeah,
notes that
yeah.
tomorrow we will go back to the clarity of intent and going back to
Yes,
and
yes,
discuss. Of course,
yes,
you are going to share more. I would love to
yes,
experience and become aware of it. But today
yes,
is the day for
yes,
this special part of the story,
yes.
and we will go directly into this now.
Yes, brilliant, brilliant. All right, I love it. I love it. Yes, let's go right there, right now. Oh, I'm so pleased that you're here, Norma. I'm so pleased that you're here, Cheryl. This is brilliant. Hello, Norma. Hello, hello, Norma. You came here without the link too, which is also brilliant. I love that. I love that. All right, here we go. Here we go. The origin story. Now we had last week, we had the build up to it, where they came and they were seating and getting ready, and they were all adding all the accoutrements and the accessories to Biella that allows her to have the holographic effects and lighting, and so right, to make it into more of a story than just telling the story, right? You get some visuals that go with it and all this, right? Some spectacular effects. This is very cool. This is very cool. So now we're at the spot where Biella's just about to start telling the story, right? Just to set it up for those who weren't here last week. All right, and I'm screen sharing. Let me just make this smaller. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, go away, scammers. Hello, 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 hello again, Norma. I just love that you're here. And you too, Cheryl. All right. Yes, 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 Cheryl. Cheryl says, I so appreciate the trust in my good intent, as it is not always verbalized well or entirely. Yes. And we need to be resolute in the trust of that good intent. And this resoluteness, not resolution, resoluteness, to be resolute, in other words, very determined, absolutely, you stick to it no matter what. You trust to the end. We're going to see this in the story, right? I'll elaborate afterwards, but pay attention. It's a very particular resoluteness that comes via the insistence of one of the characters in the story on their insistence that at root they want to see people as good. Right? It's complicated to get there, but they do, and they end up with a big story to that proves their point, that justifies it, and it makes it real. Very powerful thing. All right, here we go. Am I screen sharing? No.
Nope, not yet.
Now I am. The origin story, chapter 10. Chapter 10. There's always goodness somewhere in everything. To believe otherwise is to deny everything. The young man, from quotes of the young man. There's always goodness somewhere in everything. To believe otherwise is to deny everything. Will you read the next one, please, Beena?
How we project our intent to goodness, no matter how seemingly inaccurate and hopeless, determines our heart and soul. Attributed to Sebastian.
Are you listening? Are you listening, Cheryl? Yeah. How we project our intent to goodness. How we project our intent to goodness, no matter how seemingly inaccurate and hopeless, determines our heart and soul. Yeah, there's a lot in that term, project. All right, let's go to the story. It was time. The crowd fell into a hushed, expectant silence as Biella seated herself into the ornate chair. Fully dark now, the light from the accessories added to Biella illuminated her beautifully. She was radiant. The subtle lights of the statues in the Garden of Origin added to an effect of profound appreciation, a glorious delight in the wonder of the world. Biella swept her arm across the night sky. As she did so, a trail of tiny stars and lights trailed from her fingertips, the effect spectacular. She began. In the old heaven, the one before, in the time of the pure angels, all was perfect in heaven. Biella's pure, clear voice was close, intimate. But one day, the impossible happened. A once in an eternity set of circumstances occurred. A long, long string of them. So coincidentally did these unfold. They created an indisputable certainty, the overwhelming conviction an angel had actually done something untoward. Biella again swept her arms, slowly this time. The vision above her changed. The energies moved, roiling and churning slightly. For a while, heaven was in consternation. An angel had behaved impossibly. The angels came to believe this. They made great efforts to examine all the evidence, rigorous and scrupulous in their investigations. In the end, the angels of old heaven could only come to the undeniable and inevitable conclusion. This angel had in fact transgressed. The vision went almost completely dark, showing an abject-looking male angel. The angel had done something no angel should ever be capable of. Soft, sad music echoed the disquiet of heaven. For a long time, trouble and doubt smudged the purity of heaven. The angels didn't want to believe this impossibility, could not believe this incredibleness, but they had had no choice. Then one day, after much time had passed, Biella stretched her arms above her as if she were about to dive into heaven. She spread her arms wide and the vision illumined. Then one day, the universe had taken pity on them, it seemed, and another set of extraordinary circumstances occurred. These completely exposed the ridiculously implausible set of circumstances which had caused the unfortunate angel to be wrongly and falsely accused of transgression. The vision brightened. Biella swept her arms across the garden. Angel statues glowed, moved, transformed. The angels within flew from their positions of stasis in a glorious flight across the amphitheater, right into the vision above Biella, which gloriously expanded to fill the night sky. The angels joyously celebrating this new turn of event. A tremendous relief to the angels. They'd always known it couldn't be so, even though they truly believed it at the time. The evidence had not only been overwhelming, but thoroughly conclusive. Camelius whispered, "Yea, vindicated angel, how?" Nora preempted him, not wanting to disrupt the story. "Holographics, directional sound, accessories," she whispered back. Biella continued as the vision of heaven and the angels subdued. Heaven went back to being perfect. All the angels perfectly happy, content once more. The music changed. All except one, the angel Illuminea, an angel of truth. The vision cleared of all the angels except one, a petite angel with intense eyes, a resolute determination to her resolve. The angel Illuminea's commitment to perfection, fierce indeed, awesome to behold. Equally potent, her commitment to integrity. Illuminea was profoundly troubled, also knowing for a fact the angel had transgressed. But at the time, the evidence truly had been indisputable. Even though Illuminea also had known it to be impossible, she had for a time changed her way of being to believe this. What especially bothered her was the perfection ideal. She'd come to realize in heaven it was fairly easy to be perfect because the circumstances were always perfect, with that one glaring exception. The vision showed a dark stain on heaven far in the distance. The angel Illuminea was particularly troubled by the fact that in less than perfect circumstances, perfection had been compromised. The vision of the old heaven transformed. A world came into view. So she undertook an impossible task. The angel Illuminea came down to earth to learn how to be perfect in the most imperfect of circumstances. She came to earth to live amongst mortals as one of them. The angel above Biella lost her wings as she descended. The world faded from view and the angel was alone. This came to be an unexpectedly difficult and complicated challenge. The task developed an unanticipated complexity. Her commitment to impeccability and perfection, fierce, fierce, fierce. She maintained her ideals no matter what, never wavering, ever. Not for a second did she let go of the knowledge she was in fact perfect, even though the peculiarities of circumstance may have forced it to seem otherwise at the time. She didn't waver. Complications and complexity arose from her not being able to compromise, since an angel can only do what is good for a mortal, regardless of how not nice it may seem. The vision showed the angel interacting with mortals. This was their purpose, after all, to aid mortals to be good. The angel Illumina never wavered from that commitment. No matter how egregious her behavior seemed at the time, she never let go of her conviction of its rightness and goodness, even if it did not seem to be a conscious perception in the moment. The angel above Biella, seen in various confrontational situations with mortals. The angel Illumina appeared to be incapable of admitting culpability. Acknowledgement of error by the angel Illumina when in mortal form simply was not an option. But the mortal angel, her own fiercest critic, Biella continued, her tone changing to reflect the earnestness of the angel. As an angel committed entirely to goodness and impeccability, everything she did was always for the good. That part was undeniable, and it truly always was, although it was not always apparent to others, and not to her either. The angel Illumina always acted only for the collective good of those around her, regardless of her understanding how exactly. Her intent to goodness also fierce, fierce, fierce. Ripples of energy emanated from the angel. Instead of fading with distance, they sometimes expanded, sometimes diminished, as they interacted with individual mortals. However, the angel Illumina realized good didn't always translate as ideal. Now a young man had come to know the angel Illumina. Above Biella, the angel was joined by a very earnest-looking young man. He had an eager interest to him. His name, Sebastian. He loved to figure everything out. He had taken upon himself the task of figuring out the angel Illumina. Biella paused, then said in the somewhat convoluted style of Sebastian, imitating his voice. And this is what I so love about the angel Illumina. She is especially put out if her good behavior inadvertently is expressed in a not optimally nice way. I came to discover nice and pleasant is a matter of style and choice for angels. Nice or pleasant is not a requirement, just good. But the angel Illumina's commitment to impeccability and perfection is such that she is fiercely determined to be good and nice, always, at all times. A most difficult challenge. One of the big differences between angels and mortals is imagination. In a perfect environment, imagination is of course not needed. While angels are capable of imagination and have it, they generally don't exercise it much, as there's no need. They are out of practice. The image of Sebastian showed him in a lecture pose, seemingly speaking to no one but himself. Still, as Sebastian Biella said, the angel Illumina is exceptional in her dedication to creativity, her desire to bring her imagination to full bloom, specifically so that she can creatively problem solve. She deeply wishes to apply goodness with maximum joy and positivity, a singular challenge for an angel, as they are necessarily ruthless by nature. The image of the angel Illumina changed with each emotion as Sebastian spoke. They have to be ruthless, otherwise they would not be able to do what is good for us, especially when that good is also not nice, when we aren't learning things the nice and fun way. In the angel Illumina, there is at the same time this profound and extraordinary innocence and goodness. She is an angel after all, also an extreme sophistication and sobriety, a very tough way to be when coupled with a commitment to impeccability, goodness, and joy. Sebastian's eyes teared up. The angel Illumina is so precious and beautiful, exquisite in her innocent fragility, sweetness, pure sweetness. It is why she is known in heaven as sweetness. The young man smiled the sweetest, deepest smile of love and happiness, growing older as he did so. And from this I have learned trust, to trust and treat all as angels. Biella's voice as Sebastian took on a special emphasis for the word trust. It is all we can do, really, to trust in our own goodness, to completely trust we are fine and well, when we are our own impeccable selves, however limited that may seem to us. When we fully make peace with ourselves, we can just be. Then good can come. Then we can relax and have fun. But first we have to trust in our own intent to goodness. Biella added dramatically in Sebastian's voice. When we trust, when we deliberately trust, when we trust where we are choosing to trust, when we trust like that, we are being courageous. For courage is nothing but deliberate trust. That tiny little feeling we have of things being not quite right, or of disquiet, or ill at easeness, or discomfort of some kind. That is the feeling which comes from being courageous. There has to be discomfort with courage, because when we are being courageous, it's because there is some risk. Risk is threat. Risk should make us a bit uncomfortable. If not, we're fools. That discomfort is what keeps us alert, ready, alive. It's a necessary component of courage and of trust. We can take solace from that. To know those odd feelings are the feelings which comes from being courageous. Trust too is risk. Trust too is risk. Trust too is risk. The image of Sebastian and the angel Illuminae above Biella reflected these subtle nuances. It helps us especially when we find ourselves in situations which require us to trust our own goodness and sense of impeccability. We then have to make decisions and take actions which need us to be courageous. That feeling then comes to our aid. We know what we're in for and what it will be like. Then it's not so bad, really. Then we can trust in the goodness of everyone. Sebastian's image smiled a deep, wistful smile, full of love. I learned this courage and trust from the angel Illuminae, the most trusting and courageous being I have ever known. Biella stood up. The visions of the angels disappeared. Lights in the amphitheater slowly came on. The end, Biella said, bowing a deep bow. Soft and earnest conversations broke out everywhere. Ow! Exclaimed Camillus, to no one in particular. He had been moved more than he expected, adding, "That's wonderful," as Aki and Nora unexpectedly hugged him. Biella sat back down, and in a surprise to the audience, the lights went out and the image of Sebastian reappeared. This time the image itself spoke. If you were to hear her, especially when she laughs, you'll know it's all true. Sebastian himself laughed. His laughter filled with joy and love. He straightened, his posture noble. And when you get to know her more, Sebastian seemed to be speaking to everyone individually. It all fits so perfectly. Everything always works out for the good in the end. It forces that actually, her actions and behaviors, no matter what, force those around her to become better beings. Sebastian abruptly disappeared. The lights came back on. Biella rose to stand again, addressing the entire crowd, the delegates in particular, and said, "The point and purpose of the telling is the same as the postscript from Sebastian. Seeing someone as an angel in mortal form is a way to look at anyone. It is how the new nobility choose to look at any individual as a potential angel or mythological being, or even as someone from a world unknown to them. They do this knowingly, using mythology and story in this sophisticated way. The new nobility choose to see others as agents for good. They choose to find good in all the individuals they come into contact with. If they are seemingly inconsiderate, it's to teach us not to make snap judgments, to force us to reconsider. If they are demanding, it's to help us to be patient. If they are annoyed and bothered, it's to aid our compassion, our tolerance. No matter what they do, it's always to teach us something, not to teach in the usual manner, for they brook no failure. Their mission is total success. So they force us to learn these things. We learn or we are miserable. But even being miserable doesn't really matter. We will learn either way. Biella paused to let that sink in and then added, this is, of course, a most sophisticated choice of view by the new nobility. They know full well none of it is likely true, but that matters not in the least. They choose to believe in finding good because it's a noble thing to do. It's one of the reasons the early new nobles came to be known as the new nobility, for the story is one that came to be handed down from the very first new noble. End part 1 of chapter 10.
What a beautiful story.
Oh,
Wow.
oh,
Very emotional.
oh. Yes, it is an emotional story. It is. It is an emotional story. It is. It's a story of a deep intent, an intent that doesn't need to be there, an intent that's chosen purely because it's a noble intent. The choice to see others as more, others as agents of good, regardless of their behavior. When we see that behavior as good, even though it's not particularly nice, we start to reevaluate the entire situation, and suddenly our awareness, our understanding expands, expands, expands. Oh, I see how this is good for me. Oh, I never thought I needed to learn that. Oh, I never realized this, right? We get to interact in an entirely different way, especially with impossible people in positions of petty power, right? Like
Yes.
our loved ones sometimes, right? They are in positions of petty power, right? Or trivial power. Right? Not really, but because they're close to us and we connected and we interacted, they have some power of us. To learn how to deal with them when they're not being particularly nice. But it's very difficult until we realize there's some good in it. Oh, I need to learn to improve my patience, my nobility, my strategy, my capital H hearing, my learning to hear them from their side, my patience, etc., etc., etc. That not niceness forces us to be more, forces us to be more. It's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing when you really, really, for real, look at those people and say, oh, this is an angel on a most difficult mission. Their mission is to basically push my buttons for me to be better. What a horrible job. But they are so impeccable. They are able to do this job. Why? Because of profound and extreme, exquisite love. Love for you, love for goodness, love that says you need to learn this, whether it's nice or not. That true, pure, ruthless love that is the most exquisite, awesome love. It's the love of goodness, regardless of whether it's nice. This is the love we want because we want to learn. We want to learn. It's our intent. We want to learn no matter what. So if we don't learn the easy way, we sometimes learn the not so easy way. But once we understand this, then what was difficult becomes easy and it becomes a joy and the whole thing transforms, right? Now we see those people as agents for good. And of course, because we're learning and how we're enjoying the learning, it becomes easier and then the situation changes. And then you end up with angels where it's good and nice, as in the situation that I'm in, right? It changed, it changed, it changed, it changed. Any comments, Cheryl? Ah, right there on cue. Wowza, says Cheryl. choosing to see the goodness and trust that the goodness is there regardless of the behavior. That's a very powerful statement for me. Yes, yes. Cheryl, you in your magical life, magical, not always easy, not always nice, not always fun, have been an incredible agent for good. Your behaviors forced others to behave and upgrade their systems, change their ways of being. Some did, some not so much, right? But you push them, and you still do, right? Now you are in the situation where they might be pushing you. It's a magical system, right? We all are leveraging each other. It's an incredible thing. The moreness lesson, to say, what is the moreness lesson that I need to learn to deal with this? When you see the other as an angel doing what is necessary for you, you stop doubting their motives and you look at the result for yourself. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Changes. Mostly when we got a problem with somebody, we're trying to figure out what we need to do to change them, not change ourselves. Yes, Cheryl? Beena? Please share,
Yes.
Beena. Please share. Please share. I'm
I
I'm
just want to
feeling.
ask you something very, might be dare for you, but for me, it's a very crucial
Please,
question and very
please,
important.
please, please.
Once we trust, when we choose to trust other people and their
Mm.
good intent, and also specifically choose to treat them, acknowledge them as an angel on mission, that they are here to teach us. What about BMNs?
Yes, yes, yes. BMNs are
How to how
particular,
how to
particular.
differentiate
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
between these things and how
yeah,
when to
yeah,
actually take our power back.
yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. See, now BMNs, some would say, yeah, but BMNs are demons. A
Mm,
demon is simply another angel. It's a type of an angel. Yes. A
mm,
demon is simply an angel that does things in the most dramatic, most direct, most pressing way. And when we truly learn to deal with BMNs, do we not elevate our exquisiteness of being? We expand our awareness. We have to develop skills like capital D diplomacy and an intense capital H hearing and also capital S strategy. Because dealing with the BMN, you need all your skills. You need to be your exquisite, impeccable best to deal with a demon. Yes?
mm,
Yes. And here's the thing. In actuality, when we are fully in ourself, when we accept, we have that peace of being, when we have that togetherness, that independence of being, right? That self-confidence that is untouched by a BMN. The BMN completely implodes and they become as nothing because that's what they always were. They always were a insubstantialness, right? A demon is simply a creation that's like a hologram, right? It implodes when it's the requirements that give it energy and life and don't exist because they feed off you. See, so the BMN or the demon, it only can exist if it is able to feed. Once you cut off the sources of its feed, which is your botheration, your annoyance, your stress, all of that stuff, right? When you are able to not have those, now you've really learned, you've really grown, you become a different person. You are not subject to the shoulds of life. Well, they're doing something irritating, I should be irritating. They're trying to bully me, I should be bothered. All the stuff, right? You have independence of being. No more food for the demon, they implode. Yeah. They're a particular kind of an angel. Same end result. Same end result. Right? Same end result. Exactly. BMNs are angels who've lost their way. That is so too. But in the greater universe, the universe uses everything. Everything is there for the benefit and purpose of the enhancement and development of angels. How much energy do we give to this? Are they lost forever? That's an interesting question, Cheryl, I feel that in this, they only exist for that particular purpose, right? So they only exist as long as you feed them. When you stop feeding them, they cease to exist. So they don't necessarily have their own independence. They're like a program that's created for a specific purpose, like an on-demand antivirus. It's only there when you have a virus. When you don't have any viruses, it's not there, right? It's the same type of thing. So they don't necessarily have their own independence. They're like a hologram. They raise the hollow. But who knows? Some of the demons may be like the angels who've chosen to take that particular role, a most difficult role, but then they go back to being angels. It's just a task, a very onerous and unpleasant task, but it's a necessary good task. It's like the highest that you can go in terms of a noble task is to go and be a demon for a while. But I feel some demons, they get created automatically, just on demand, as it were. Yeah. Now that's the key. How much energy do we give to this? Right? That's a very powerful thing. How much do you feed the demons? This is the key question. This is the heart of Way of Impeccability. And everything the new nobility are about is to say, we are not going to feed the demons. And simply by changing your view to saying, yes, I understand you are here to do what's not nice. And I understand the reason for it is because I need to learn. In that moment, everything starts to shift. And that starts the path of taking the energy. Instead of giving it to them, you now loop it back into yourself. But it has to be applied to learning. There has to be real change. Otherwise, the situation stays the same. Yeah. Exactly, Norma. Not all rainbows are shaped like a bow. All angels don't have wings. Glimpses of beauty often glow in the most unexpected things. Exactly. When we realize the entire reality that we experience, the entire reality is geared towards the enhancement and development of our awareness. The entire reality, every single thing is there to assist us, to aid us, to benefit us, there for moreness. In other words, the universe is the most incredibly perfect place. Perfect as a school for learning. In that sense, perfect. When we realize this, we shift our entire brain. This is the whole new nobility psychology. They understand this. It's part of their culture. So they are always finding and connecting to the moreness of things. No matter how it may seem at first, this is their exquisite sophistication. They take it for granted that it's good. I don't understand. It's not that I don't understand and saying, well, it's why is this bad? No. They never ask that question. Why is this happening to me? No, they always know why it's happening. It's happening for the enhancement and development of my awareness. It's happening to make me better, happening to help me, right? Always. So now, when you have this understanding, you start to look at life differently. You start to live in a magical world because everything is there for you. Everything is there for you. At first, yes, we have to learn. It's awkward. We have to break habits. We have to get out of our belief systems and all of this stuff, right? Assumptions and all of this. But when we start to realize it's all magical, we shift. We stop seeing the world in this either or of, nice, not nice. It's all good. All of it is good. The trick is to make the good also nice. That's the thing we need to learn. We're not going to change the fact that it's all good, but we can change how we relate to it, how we experience the good. Sadly, most people experience good in not so fun ways. What a waste. What a waste. What a waste. What a waste. But we can learn. It's a profound realization to realize that we live in the most brilliant, most awesome, most incredible reality. It's all incredible magic, all of it. But it's magic with a purpose. The purpose is not just there for our fun and joy that we get, yes, but it's goodness first, joy and fun second. Always goodness first. We can have both. That's the task. That's the challenge. That's the learning. To learn to get good and fun and joy all together. As Beena was saying in her story. And the goodness of acting purely with pure intent in attunement. This is a path to do so. Yes, take personal agendas out of it, like what happened in the incident that she was talking about. She was, didn't want to go into too much specifics, but it essentially was sharing and sharing at a consequence. Sharing without agenda, sharing, just pure sharing, and it had a magical benefit. Yeah, yeah. The task is to extract the moreness, to connect to the moreness, see the moreness, feel the moreness, enjoy the moreness. It blows the mind. At first, we are stuck in old habits like, yeah, but I don't deserve this. This is too much for me, etc. Like in this case, with this person who received this unexpected boon, somebody who helps and gives and is very dignified and never asks. And they understood, this is the point that Beena wanted to make, that they understood the intent of this bonus. And the intent was for them to go and treat themselves, have fun, enjoy, and to be appreciated and to feel some self-love. And it's exactly what transpired. Magic, magic, magic. Moreness, moreness. Will you read Cheryl's comment, please, Beena?
Yes. But it was always I need to keep zoom up for the voice.
Yeah. I don't know if you can read it on the screen share, can you?
Oh, you are not sharing screen?
Oh, I stopped sharing. Okay. I'll just click on it and go into the comments. Can you see it there?
Yes. I'm reading it now.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Perhaps the energy we share with these lost angels is our choice. Yes, we are in the moment feeding them, but perhaps something in our encounter reaches them. If they can be reached, and if I feel there is good in everything, maybe it's worth a shot.
Yes.
The key seems to stay focused on purpose.
That resolute determination. Absolutely. Right. Now, in this case, yes, absolutely what you say, Cheryl. And we have to trust. Trust is the key. Trust is the key. Now, that resoluteness, yes, it applies to the angel Illuminea, but the resolute determination was applied, that I was referring to, is actually applies to Sabastian, because Sabastian encountered this angel, and the angel behaved in not the most angelic of ways. The angel, right? The angel had encounters and difficulties and, caused stress and trouble and turmoil, right? It's like, really, seriously, how does this work? And, but Sebastian was insistent on insisting that there was a deep goodness to the behaviors. At first, he didn't get it. It's like, man, this angel seems like a BMN, but yeah, and self-involved and got a big ego. They can't acknowledge when they're wrong and blah blah. But then he figured it out, and he figured it out that they had this larger picture goodness that was driving their behavior. Even if they weren't aware of it, they were unaware themselves. But that internal pressure to do what's good, whether it's nice or not, this they came to see. Now, the sophistication of this is whether or not it's actually true, it doesn't matter. I want to repeat that. From Sebastian's point of view, whether it was actually true or not makes no difference. I mean, they could be an alien in human form, who knows what, doesn't matter. It may just be a typical human being and they are what they are. It doesn't matter, right? Let's just assume they are what most people think they are, just a full of nonsense person. Does it matter to Sebastian? No. Why? Because he changed. He changed. He changed how he related to them. And over time, he improved. Sebastian improved tremendously. He changed dramatically. He changed profoundly. He learned how to deal with all that nonsense. He learned capital P patience and tolerance and compassion and discipline in managing his own emotions, etc., etc., etc. A long, long journey. But he changed and is In his changing, that of course changed how Illumina reacted relative to him. Yes, because no matter how much you're a BMN, you cannot be in one way when there's not a receptivity for it on the other. It's just the way the universe works. It doesn't allow for it. Yes, so it becomes a pointless exercise for a BMN to, when they become aware that ego games just don't make any difference, like we saw with Ursula's understanding of Biella. She said, I can't do this here. I'd look stupid. I'd look idiotic. And basically, it would just cause Biella to sort of dumb down and start talking to me like a child because I would be behaving childishly. Well, the same happens with people too. But you need to first change. You need to be unaffected by the nonsense. That's a lot harder. That's a lot harder to do than it is to say. But this resoluteness of Sebastian, he was absolutely determined to not see Illumina, who he'd come to love, as a BMN, essentially. Said, no, I refuse. There's got to be another explanation. He went a long way around. It's like, if I want to get one step in front of me, I can turn around and walk all the way around the world to get to that one step in front of me, right? I end up in the same place, but one takes a moment and the other one can take a lifetime. Yeah. Sometimes we go the long way around, just the way it is. Yeah. Oh, wonderful, Cheryl. Wonderful. It's that resolute determination and the trust in our intent. The trust. He had that intent to goodness, that resolute intent to goodness. That's it. We need to trust our intent to goodness. It materializes and manifests and shapes the world around us in ways we don't always realize. We cannot ever let go of that trust in our intent to goodness. Whether we understand it or not doesn't matter. We need to trust. We need to trust. We need to trust. Right. And likewise, we need to trust in the intent to goodness of the universe. Right. The phrase comes up again here, came up before. O ye of little faith. This has always been the problem in almost all ideologies, religions, belief systems, that there's too little faith of the adherence of that system, whatever it is. They do not believe enough in the complete goodness of everything. They're supposed to, but then they fall short. No, there's no sum. It's not 90% good, 10% evil. It's all good. Even all of the evil is good in its own way. We have to figure out how. We have to figure out how. And we have to get very sophisticated in our thinking to figure out how. It's profound, some of the lessons. It's profound, and people get stuck. They can't see how. How could this evil be of value? But that's where we need to expand our awareness and insist no matter what. And that's the story of the angels in old heaven. Even though the evidence said something that was impossible, was supposed to be so, they believed the evidence. They refused to believe that it was impossible. They said, no matter what the evidence says, we refuse to believe that an angel can behave in this way. It's not possible. It's not possible, right? But they went along with it. They went with their little brains, their little minds, their little selves, not the bigger picture. They, in other words, did not have full trust. And that's what Angel Illumina said. Oh, it's easy to be perfect in perfect circumstances. But those angels were not perfect when the circumstances were imperfect. See? We need to be perfect in imperfect circumstances. This is the real challenge. And as far as I'm concerned, this is why I'm here. I choose to believe this. Whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. I choose to believe it. And utilizing this, saying, oh, I'm here to learn to be perfect in imperfect circumstances. What a challenge, what a challenge, what a challenge. Right, Cheryl? Right, Norma? You both have experienced imperfect circumstances in your lives, right? Maybe still are. But the challenge is to be perfect in imperfect circumstances. Trusting is essential, not just others, but ourselves and the universe, Norma. We have to add that in there. That's the key trust. That's the key trust. I trust my intent to goodness. I don't trust my sensibility. I don't trust my rationality necessarily. I don't trust my logic. I don't trust my understanding of things. I don't trust my information, but I trust my intent to goodness, right? This is a profound difference in the trust, right? It's a massively big point, a very sophisticated point. Yes?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I don't understand if there's no bad. How can there be good? There's all good. That's it. There's no opposites here, right? It's a very peculiar logic, this mentality of opposites that insists there always has to be opposites. That's not so. Go into a light room, right? In Silicon Valley, they use light rooms for when they work on certain things. They have to have a light room and it's all light. There are no shadows in the room. The lights come from everywhere. No shadows. People always say, oh, but you have to have shadow to see light. Nonsense. It's absolutely not true. It's completely and utterly not true. When I look up at in the sky, I don't see any shadows. I'm seeing the effect of light, right? Same way, we don't have to have bad to be in good. When we realize there isn't actually bad, bad is simply a temporary, small context, environment, local perception of things. It's a temporary thing that's not optimal and not nice. But in the end, it is good. Everything is capital G good. And if we replace good with nice, then we've got, oh, things are good and nice, things are good and not nice. We replace evil with not nice. And really evil, really bad stuff are extreme, not nice, but they're still good in their own way. Because they show us, for instance, the consequences of lack of awareness taken to the extreme. So, oh my God, that's horrible. Yes, don't be part of that system. Unhook from the system, unhook from system. Don't be a participant. See, good to it, good to it, good to it. It's a massive pressure, leverage for us to say, oh, we happily go along in our system of, yes, I want to be better. I want to go up the hierarchy, blah, blah, blah. But we don't realize that we are part of a system that leads to great massive horror. See, there's good to it. There's good to it. We just have to learn to see it. We just have to learn to see it. Very profound, right? So there's no real bad. There's not nice. And yes, not nice is bad too, but there's a goodness to the badness. For instance, the worst thing is good for something. The worst thing is a really good bad example, is it not? Everything can have some good to it. It's not inherently good in itself. It's what we extract from it. That's the key. It's like a screwdriver. A screwdriver is fantastic for fixing things and all that, but it's also a good murder weapon. Many murders have been committed by a screwdriver. Is the screwdriver evil and bad? No. No. Yeah. And when we understand it's all about awareness, and when we understand evil to be lack of awareness, it changes everything. Right? Evil is lack of awareness, false beliefs, misunderstandings of belief, assumptions, all sorts of stuff, poor motivations. Yeah, they paths that don't lead anywhere. They dead ends. When we understand evil to be that, it changes everything. Exactly. Extracting. That's the key word, right? Extracting. It doesn't mean everything is inherently good. There's a lot of bad there, yes, but I've got to reach in there when I go and take that deep and say, there it is, there it is. I got and extract that goodness. Sometimes it's a very fine little piece of goodness that I pull out, but it's there. It's there. We need to extract it. That's the key, right? That word extract, right? It's a big, big, big difference, the extract part. Makes sense? Makes sense, Cheryl? The extract, how important that is. Yeah. Yeah. It's not just see the goodness, because that's not easy to see. We have to extract it. We have to pull it out of there. Well, sometimes that almost amounts to creating it, but so be it. So be it. We're insisting on living in a different universe. It's difficult at first. It's very difficult because our brains tend to think small. You know, our local environment and We don't see the layers behind the layers behind the layers. It's difficult for us to see that big, big, big picture. But this we need to do. This is part of enhancing our awareness, to expand it, expand the floodlight of our awareness to encompass everything. Some singular challenge, very, very powerful challenge. Does that help, Cheryl, Norma, Beena? Everything making sense?
Yes, it does make sense to me. I was thinking when sometimes people get into relationship of any sort, it's not limited to the intimate relationship, any kind of relationship. When they are into the situation when BMNs, true BMNs, and they have to interact or they have to just be in that relationship. First thing, that why to insist that we have to be in that relationship? We can change, of course. It is our choice. And we need to acknowledge that this is our choice to stay in that relationship. Mostly we just say, oh, I had no other option. That is something that, as I have learned from Way-of-Impeccability, that there is always more. When there is always more, of course, then there is always option. Means, in other words. And when we have other option and we still are choosing, it means that it is our choice. Why not make it a capital C choice? And when we insist, and by just acknowledging that it is my choice and I'm staying this, now the perception needs to change also. It is not just that, okay, oh yes, I choose that because of this, because of that. And now, okay, whatever the circumstances I have to bear because I cannot complain. It's going beyond that, not complaining. It is going beyond to the necessary or force of circumstance sometimes. When we choose, we actually go beyond that, any kind of pressure and stress, and say, okay, yes, I know that situation and I still choose this. And when I'm choosing it, I'm going to extract value no matter what. It has to go beyond that. Like, okay, yes, not only it is my choice, I'm going to acknowledge that, but also I'm going to give due respect to my choices, and I'm going to extract value. But now I have a BMN. It is actually like universe is providing me an opportunity to have a training, like really is exactly like a kickboxing type of a training beforehand, mental kickboxing type of training, where I can learn to deal with stress, nonsense, and not get influenced by. Yes, I'm choosing to stay in this situation, but how? I'm not going to be just a bag of potatoes here and just be a punching bag for someone. I will learn and I will grow. Till the time will come where I can actually use these potentials, these possibilities of me, this moreness of me. I will utilize this time to get prepared. That is something I've seen, that so many people, they get stuck in a relationship where, again, the relationship is not limited to personal relationship. It can be business, it can be whatever it is, any type of relationship with BMNs or any kind of narcissist or negative people in general. They choose to stay in there because of so many reasons. But what happened at the end, that the other person who was being a bully or BMN or a narcissist, uh, they get their time, they do whatever they want to, and these people live a miserable life. And at the end, they have nothing. They never learn, they never grow, they never actually enhance their skills, nothing. And they end up miserable.
Hollow. It's a horrible thing.
Yes.
Real quick, Norma, that's what I'm saying. Exactly what you're saying. I'm not making the separation. If all is everything, and that all caps all is good, capital G, all caps good, we have to understand that there's this overall good. And then we've got the little regular good and the regular bad that comes from that. Though that regular little good, little g good, little b bad, those are our experience of capital G good, of the all caps good. It's our experience of it. When we're unaware, we experience it as bad. But the more aware, the more we understand, the more we trust the intent to goodness, the overall intent of all can only be good. Can't be some good, some bad. No, it can't be an intent to badness. It's just not possible, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe my opinion, but I can't see how that could possibly be. Therefore, we have to understand that when we experience something as bad, it's a perception. We need to look further. We need to see there's a reason for it. There's a logic to it. There's a sensibility to it. It's there to teach, there to teach, there to teach, there to help us enhance and raise our awareness. Yes, of course, there's a not niceness to it in the experience. It can be horrible and terrible and bad, but that's the experience of it, not the deep intent to it. Therefore, we need to learn to think like the universe, like the all, to see and understand that capital G, all caps goodness, right? And to understand there's a difference between that overview goodness and the experience in our lives, in the immediate, in the local, right? It's a contextual experience. We need to see there's the small context of our lives where we have this good and bad, etc. And then there's the capital G overview, all is good. End of story. We have to figure out how. That's the challenge. We have to learn to see it all. At first, it blows our mind. How can all this evil be good in some way? What's the point of it? The point of it is to teach us. And of course, to teach us the effects and the consequences of freedom of choice. You have freedom of choice, but that doesn't mean that you want to exercise that freedom. We need to learn how to act appropriately. And that means learning to live impeccably and in attunement. That's the keys, right? Impeccability and in attunement. Impeccability applies to when we don't know. Attunement is how we can know without knowing. All works together. All works together. So yeah, there's no disagreement, Norma. We're saying the same thing, just in different words. We don't have the vocabulary, right, that separates out good. We could say, maybe we could separate it out in way-of-ability to say there's appropriateness. The universe is always appropriate. In the context of what? In the context of the enhancement and development of awareness. In the context of goodness, yeah, not niceness. Right? Different. Losing our awareness. I've done it over and over. Thank the universe. It always seems to return to me, says Cheryl. It's like I see the goodness so clearly. I can't let it go, and I become out of balance, and a sort of veil comes over my awareness, and I am immersed in a bubble of self-deprecation until my awareness wins out and I take my power back. And yes, no, without knowing. What's our, in way of impeccability? What's our big enemy? What's our big enemy? What, Beena? Cheryl, what's our big enemy?
Assumptions.
Habit, yes.
Habit.
Assumptions, habit, yes. Our greatest enemy is habit. Yes, the habit, one of them is the habit of assuming, yes, yes. But that habit is what binds us, because habit is the entrenchment of deliberate unawareness. Right? We said, well, through habit, all right, I'll do this, and I want to be unaware. That makes it easier for me. I don't have to think about it. But that comes and bites us in the longer term. So we have to really pay attention. Look at this loss of awareness. It's because something, some habitual thing is pulling you out of your awareness into the bubble. Yes, it's a habit that does that. Maybe many different habits that all seek to pull you out. So the key to resolve this issue of losing your awareness is to start working on your habits, right? Look what you habitually do. Look what you habitually are motivated by, and look at the appropriateness of those motivations. There's the key. Also, look at your beliefs. I should do this. I should do that. I should be in my little bubble, like being annoyed. I should be annoyed when somebody's been a jackass. See? To let go of those. We have to let go of those. This is the magic of nobility. Nobility says, I am going to do more. When I'm not asked to do more, I'm not required to do more. I don't need to do more. I'm going to do more anyway. then I can break free from these shoulds. If this happens, I do that. No, I'm not bound by should now, because I am in a space in myself where I'm motivated by doing more. That's unjustified. That's unreasonable, some would say. That makes no sense. Yeah, I just do it because I want to. I want to do more. I want to do things which to others will seem unfair, unbalanced. That way I can break from those shoulds. I can break from those habits that pull me into those bubbles where I lose my awareness. But you are realizing the horror of loss of awareness. It's the worst thing ever. Because we do things that we don't want to do in those bubbles of unawareness. And it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. It's terrible. Terrible. Yes, Cheryl, very, very powerful point. Very, very powerful point. Loss of awareness is a dreadful calamity. And we want to practice this. Now, in Way of Impeccability, and we didn't get there yet, Cheryl, because somebody didn't continue and needs to continue, right? There are specific techniques and tools and methodologies and that we can develop and skills that can greatly assist us in breaking our habits. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful. We didn't get there yet, but we need to get there, Cheryl. What you thinking, Beena? What you thinking? I can feel it. I can feel Beena's brain churning away there. I can feel Beena's awareness, putting things together, contemplating, extracting, shifting things, adding it, taking it in. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yes, yes, trying to. Because the sadness part, when things doesn't go the way we expected, we assume that it will be, then it's a very heavy sadness which covered us, which dilute our awareness. We get it's immersed into the loss and that empathy and sympathy for ourselves and the feeling part. And then it muddles up our ability to enhance our awareness, to extract moreness, to look for a different perspective. In the beginning, when I was amazed by your ability to have a different perspective in every situation. And I was like, why? Like how a person can do this? And then of course I concluded like, okay, yes. So he has this ability to always deny whatever other person is saying, coming up with a different idea. Okay, and that was my resolution for a time. It works for a time, but then I realized, no, actually, yes, it worked for a time. And I realized that, no, it didn't work the way, because it is not necessarily that he is denying. He's not denying this.
Yes,
he's
your
saying
self-honesty came into play.
He is adding more. He is adding more to this. And this adding more, not actually just saying that, oh, this is not what you are saying is not good, it's not right, it is wrong, nothing. But you were just adding a more. You were just like, okay, yes, there is a small window in the room, someone opened, and you say, oh, there is another. It doesn't matter the value of that previous one, or
exactly
window, but you just said, okay, oh, now we can have more light. We can have more ventilation inside. We can feel good.
It's more.
And then that was like, okay, yes. And then again, my amazement of like, okay, how? But it comes automatically. You don't need to do anything once you be receptive. When I am sharing something which might be complete nonsense for you, or like duh for you, like a kindergarten stuff for you, but it's still, when you see and you perceive that, and when you acknowledge that as moreness, as new awareness, it expands our mind. It actually did something physically to your brain. It expands. And then you become itself like, okay, wow, now I can see more. Like yesterday, in our discussion, it was a bit weird discussion, might be weird for me in the past, but now it is not weird. Nothing
Yeah.
is, almost nothing is weird for me now. Anyway, almost.
Yeah.
I'm still taking some space for myself. That might be, I might feel awkward to discuss few things. But yesterday, we were discussing, and Syl mentioned someone who wrote papers in, I guess, in 1960s, and he says that in those papers he mentioned, he just gave an idea to counter or to actually remedy the hunger in general in society.
Oh, right. Well, this was in the 1700s, I believe, to be exact.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Hmm.
And Syl says, and he suggested that why not eat dead bodies.
Dead babies
Because,
specifically, because there were tons of them at the time. Yeah.
yes, because of lack of
Yeah.
treatments available, lack of
Yeah.
basic care and health and hygiene issues at that time.
And it was also drawing attention to the lack of, natal baby care and pregnant woman care and all that. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes, yes.
the moreness to it. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. You're making a sophisticated point here, so just be careful, those listening. Beena's making a very sophisticated point. Don't get caught on the suggestion of this writer.
No,
Right?
no, no.
And what he was, it was Jonathan Swift, by the way, if you want to go and look it up. Yeah, a very famous thing that he wrote. So. But anyway, keep going. You're making a point.
And for me, a person like me, in the past, like even just a year ago, that would be the most horrified thing one could ever think.
Right.
And it was like, wow. But yesterday when we were discussing, and Syl mentioned that he suggested at the time, and it was quite popular. People were discussing. Some were saying that he was just being sarcastic.
Right.
And suggesting in a way that because you cannot do this now, just go and eat it. That was that kind of anger and stress and worried about that he was concerned about those high child death rate.
The mortality, high mortality, child
Yes,
mortality.
high mortality of children and infants. And he was suggesting, even if, so when Syl yesterday he shared, I just look at it from two perspectives. But the most important thing, I looked at it as being receptive. Without getting any shoulds. Like, okay, my religion says like,
brilliant.
Sorry, no.
Yes.
My morals, my brought up says no, horrible. It cannot be even just said it out loud. Like, how can you even think like that?
Yeah.
And a lot of no, big time flashing signs. No. I would completely disregard this. I would completely avoid this and simply say, no, I don't want to even discuss this. But this time, because I was receptive, it doesn't haunt me. Because I try to think from his point of view.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Yes.
If it does make sense, how? That reverse engineering right into this.
Yes.
And I think, okay, the person, even if he was being sarcastic, okay, I can feel that pain. His love for those children or humans, and of course, and living beings, that he was feeling really, really deeply concerned about this high mortality rate. That was one first thing. And the second, if he was not being sarcastic and he was just suggesting as to, okay, now resolve this problem. And then and I discuss. So there are two, again, double perspective into this. The first one was the topic itself. And the second, what was changed in me, what has been changed, what is changing, and what is now has already changed. I was observing that too. I was comfortably discussing those things because I could see, comparatively, I could see those things in a different perspective.
You were able to perspective shift.
Exactly. And also that if someone is saying, it doesn't mean that I have to, I should follow this.
Exactly.
We assume that if someone is suggesting or even saying something, we assume that it's a direct attack or a direct command for me to follow. No.
No.
Exactly. The person is saying or suggesting, this is their business, not mine.
Right,
I have
right,
no obligation to
right.
follow
I have
or even
choice.
consider.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that
Yeah.
was first thing. It was a big change for me. And then I said, yes, if we do that, what's the problem in this?
Exactly.
For me, the problem
Exactly.
is that, yes, okay, we can do this. But as as far as I understand human psychology and human body, we have this problem that we get addicted to things very easily.
Yes. Yes.
And this
Yes.
addiction is a big problem for us, especially
Yes.
in human. I don't know,
Yes.
maybe in animals
Yes.
also, and in other species also,
Oh
but
yeah,
at
them
least
too.
in
Yeah.
human,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have this problem very huge
Yeah. Yeah.
that we get addicted to. And that suggestion could be like introducing a new food source to your body, to your physical system.
Yeah.
And okay, now you are getting it. Like we are addicted to carbohydrates, like we are
Mm.
addicted to proteins, like we are
Mm.
addicted to purest form of carbohydrates, I mean sugar, we are addicted. When we will get comfortable with that new food source and our bodies get comfortable, there are quite bright chances that we might get addicted to it,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
still okay. Okay, like we are okay with sugar, no problem. We are okay with proteins, no problem. But when we get used to or get addicted to that particular food source, what will happen if we will not get it? Now we have factories to produce sugar. But if that would not be a case in that particular food source, then what will happen? Then it is going to be a big, huge problem for human species. Then it will be a big problem. Not on the immediate local way, but in an abstract, if we look at it, there are quite possible chances, quite high chances that we will get addicted to that. And then it will be a problem because then we need more supply. And where will we get that more supply?
Yeah.
So as a species, I was feeling concerned about that.
Wow. Wow.
And that discussion was like a milestone in my life because I had never even experienced or never imagined that I would be so comfortably discussing all those things.
There you go. There you go.
Comfort, why I am insisting and emphasizing on that comfort level, because I was not feeling threatened by that. That, oh, if someone is suggesting it is going to affect me. No. And that comfort level makes me able to have a different perspective, to go deeper, to understand, try to understand at least. And that was for me a success. This is how I gauge myself, that how much I have learned so far, and I am learning, and I am becoming aware of the world around me and the magic of receptivity. This would be the most horrible discussion ever for me.
Yeah.
But it was not.
No, it wasn't. It was amazing. And when we realize how constrained we can be because of habits of belief, it's profound. And once we realize we realize we can think differently, we can learn to think in that abstract overview perspective. And then we can see, oh, you know what, this appeared to be different, but now actually it's the same in the abstract. It's just the terminology, the word usage, etc. Just our habits of perception that make it seem different, but in the end, a lot of things are the same. Yeah, yeah. It's very powerful, very powerful. Perspective shifting is an incredible power, incredible power. And also to realize the limitations of our emotional habits of belief. Yeah.
Think back to the basics that when we acquire at least reasonable piece of being, reasonable size of piece of being,
exactly,
in ourselves, We don't feel threatened.
Yeah. And then we can discuss.
Exactly.
Exactly. And when we add into that trust of the intent to goodness of others, then where's the problem to discuss?
Yes.
Oh.
Emphasis management comes into play.
Oh.
Yes, always. Always.
Exactly.
Are you responding to someone?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
When we are,
this is how we learn and grow. I feel, at least this is how I'm learning,
no,
growing.
exactly, emphasis management. Now here's the key. Right? Emphasis. You talked about addiction. And our propensity, that's the word, our propensity toward addiction. Why? Because the brain has a propensity for emphasis. The brain operates, works, is designed. Everything about the brain operates via emphasis. That's it. That's how we learn something is important. When it's important, it gets emphasized, it sticks in the brain. Sometimes things get emphasized that aren't important and sticks in the brain, and then we get problems. But essentially, that's the underlying mechanism. Your brain responds to what's important, and the brain changes relative to what's important. Literally changes, right? When something's important, it's emphasized. That node that's connected to this issue grows. And in that growing, it connects to other similar things that are associated or that assist this importance or that brings this importance into your life. And you end up with this whole vast structure that's saying, hey, food is important. Well, okay, food is important. I need food. Well, how do I get food? I get food by buying it. How do I buy it? By having money. How do I have money? By having a job. How do I have a job? By having skills, blah, blah, blah. See? So you end up with a whole reality, a whole universe, simply from the one thing that's been emphasized as important. In this case, food. Yeah, see? Now that happens, okay, with food, we understand all in that way together, but it happens with everything. So this is how addictions came into being. We believed that it was important, or the experience was so profound that it was emphasized and wow, this must be important because it was a big experience. False beliefs, false understandings, etc. Right? This is addictions are typically because of inappropriate emphasis. We have to understand that. We have to understand that.
Yeah.
And that inappropriate emphasis is almost always because we don't have enough perspectives to see, and particularly we see it in the short term, not in the longer term. Yeah, very hard to see longer term thinking sometimes. Yeah. I was never hungrier than the day I started the diet. Exactly. Emphasis, because you emphasize. That's why sometimes diets are absolutely counterproductive. Yeah. Because now suddenly you stop eating and your body says, I'm starving, I'm starving, I'm starving. Oh my God, whatever food I get, I better convert it into fat because, well, food is scarce. You end up with the exact opposite of what you want. You eat less and you add fat. Both. Not only do you
Yes.
have the miserable experience of eating less, but you also end up actually gaining weight because you've told the body that, oh, I'm starving, I'm
Yes.
starving, I'm starving.
Yes, and it raises your cortisol level, which is a stress hormone, and that stress hormone actually it is exactly like animals that start accumulating
Yeah.
fat around yourself because either you are in danger or either we are in a longer run, like okay, longer term danger of food not being available, scarcity,
Wow.
and that raises your cortisol level, which increases your fat accumulation.
Right. Right. When we understand the brain and at least, sorry, the stomach and the body I talked about this yesterday or the last time we were on aspects, our various aspects. When we understand the brain to likewise similarly to be part of us, a sub-program. And it's a particular sub-program that has its own agenda and it's a bit bubble orientated. Yeah. It doesn't see the bigger picture. So it can be a bit foolish even in its supposed sensibility, because the logic of the brain was set up in an environment there's scarcity applied, not abundance. Right? So when the brain logic, or when the stomach brain, when the stomach is actually your first brain, there's a brain that develops in the fetus and then it moves down and around, it becomes the stomach, and then your other brain comes, right? So the first brain is the stomach. Yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
But here's my point though. When the programming that programs the stomach developed, it developed in a situation where overeating was not an option, or at least not one on a regular basis. Yes, when there was abundance, like if you came upon a treasure trove of, food of some kind, right? You ate your full, you pigged out literally, and you swelled up and you were this big balloon. But that was okay, because, and you put on temporary fat, because in a scarcity environment, you're not going to have that boon very regularly. It happens very occasionally. And, that will keep you going at least for a while until you find the next food source, and it'll make your life a little easier. So it's a positive, right? And you see this with like the Bushmen, for instance. They're very, very famous for this. They have these big buttocks, which today are very popular, of course, but for different reasons. But they stored fat there, much the same way as a camel. That fat in the hump, it's a reserve that the camel actually lives off, those humps, right? It's a way to store food. And the Bushmen do this in their buttocks. But in general, they don't, only when they have abundance, and they pig out, and then they tend to put it on in their buttocks, not everywhere around them. It's just a way that they adapt it. But my point is that they don't have it. They don't become big and obese because they don't have the abundance generally to be able to do that. But the brain doesn't recognize when there is this excess abundance, and doesn't have the sophistication to figure out, hey, you know what, I don't need to be pigging out and storing this for times of scarcity to come, because that's what the program is from centuries and centuries and centuries. There was always scarcity, and there was always times when you were going to go hungry, so you better stock up now. But in our lives, in our situation, we don't have this. But the brain doesn't know this. So whenever it can, it stocks up, and it sees fat as a good thing, not as a bad thing. Of course, too much, and now you got other parts of the body that start to stress, right? And obesity has its own problems. But we have to understand that when it comes to the stomach, now it sees this is my survival, and I'm stopping up. And there are cultures which see fat as wealth. The two are synonymous, right? It's a status symbol to be obese.
Oh
Because
yes, oh yes.
it means you have
There is a
abundance. Yeah.
famous Arabic saying which says that, the space, the more is, yes, the space a woman take to sit, it is directly proportional to take the space in her men's heart. Like,
Wow.
and they are super huge, and they have no problem
Wow.
at all with this.
Wow.
They are very, very, very huge actually,
Wow.
and very roundish. This is
Wow.
exactly what you are saying. It's not only limited to food intake, but even in the new skincare routines, they are saying that, okay, when you have, because in my teenage, that was the idea, at least I had that. Maybe some people are more aware that when you have this teenage skin, acne prone and then prone, and then that sebum, that excess sebum on your skin, we assume that it's an oil production. So we have a lot of oil on our face. So no matter what other people are suggesting, I'm not going to apply any moisturizer, because it's already very greasy and it looks horrible and all that, blah blah. But the new reason, and even at that time, some of the Asians were saying that, okay, it's a sebum and you cannot clean it, you cannot reduce it with harsh chemicals, or dry out to dry, actually Try to do that, because that started with the lack of moisture. When you were not actually having enough moisture on your skin, that was the time when your skin started producing to protect itself, producing that sebum to protect, because you didn't have that moisture. It was feeling dry. And now to actually balance it, you have to apply oil-based or fat-based moisturizers, not just gel-based or something, because you need to tell your skin by applying that it doesn't need no more need to produce sebum, because I am taking care of it. You are providing. When you provide that, your skin actually understands that I don't need to produce any more sebum now, because it's already enough. And same it is going with the food intake. That was the time when everybody saying, oh, you have to diet, you have to do workouts and all that. It actually is not the case for everyone, especially many women, a higher percentage of women,
Interesting.
they need to relax more, actually, instead of doing work, because they do develop more muscles because of their cortisol level gets increased. So you have to relax more to start losing fat, that your body understand that, okay, I'm not in the survival situation, so I don't need this, and I will start losing. Now I need, this is time to shed this fat. To actually lose your fat, you have to relax more and rest more and pamper yourself with good things. Not necessarily that
In other words,
eating.
deliberately change the associations.
Exactly.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful.
And this is changing everything. This is actually changing everything. Some people do feel when and I ask that, okay, why some diets works for some people, not for others? In many cases, some people subconsciously feel special, valued, pampered when they are having a special diet, even if it is just to lose weight. But they feel that, oh, this is I'm doing for myself, or other people are doing for myself. They feel good and they start losing weight because they are not anymore in the survival mode. Mostly diets, crash dieting and other diets work because of this subconscious message for women, especially for women. So dieting is, Cheryl, you are a very active person and you keep always doing things. I think that it's just time to just relax and tell your body that, okay, oh, we are not in that survival mode anymore. That's it.
All about appropriate emphasis, in other words.
Yes.
Key. And habits, and changing our habits. A lot of eating is habit. As you get older, you're less active, but you're in the habit of eating a particular portion size. But that's what satisfies me. That used to have to change that portion size as I go older. Yeah. Well, simple things, but it's the abstract.
Exactly.
The abstract is
Some
habit.
Yes. Some associations.
Exactly.
And also that the hunger pang feeling, that at least that was me till a couple of a few months ago. That I understand that hunger pangs are not that, or not the signal to start eating.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Cheryl. Cheryl says yes to go. Bye-bye, Cheryl.
Yes, no problem. Bye, Cheryl. Hunger pangs are just a signal that your body is digesting the food you have already eaten.
Yeah.
And now it is getting value out of it. Nutrition, energy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that, okay, now we have covered this thing and some more, of course. So we can also say bye for now. Till tomorrow, when we will come back, and then we will discuss more about intent and the clarity of intent and
we're going to it in detail.
And then we will ask Syl some questions about these things to understand it more.
Well, very cool. I love it. Yes. Good time to leave. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Norma, and thank you everyone who is watching on YouTube in replays. Please feel free to comment and discuss and give us something
Yeah.
to discuss more. That will be really interesting for us. If you find anything which you feel that you can of course input, that will be very helpful and
Yeah.
very appreciated. So please
Yeah.
feel free to make comments, and you can also click likes on our videos if you like that. And if you have any other topic to discuss, I will ask tremendously huge and big amount of questions I can ask to Syl. So if you have any topic, please do suggest that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're all
Thank you.
angels. We're all angels. We're all angels. It's a perspective. Don't forget, that's the key point of the story. It's a choice of perspective. Don't
Yes.
take away from the story, oh, the new nobility believe in angels. No, they could just as well be aliens. They could just as well be figments. They could just as well be myths. Doesn't matter. The reality of angels or not, it's irrelevant. It's a choice of belief that has nothing to do with whether it's true or not. They get value out of it, whether or not it's true or not. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter, right? Very important to be aware of this choice. It's a choice of belief. Very important, very sophisticated way of leveraging ourselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you
Brilliant.
so much.
Brilliant.
Thank you
Brilliant.
so much for
Bye
sharing the
bye,
story.
angels. Bye
Yes.
angels. Bye angels.
Okay,
All
okay,
right.
so bye
All
for
right.
now.
Bye bye, everybody. End meeting for all.